This is future Ellen trying to edit this podcast. It is 1 a.m. and I could cry. It wouldn't be a Knit and Bitch podcast without some audio issues. I did not realise that my tiny little microphone that plugs into my phone sounds like ass. I brought it to the cinema so we could do a little review of the film after we had just seen it, just to get initial reactions. But I've decided to leave them in anyway because why not? But if the audio quality is too much for you to take, then you can just skip ahead. Then you can hear just Leah and Megan's individual reviews. But stay till the very end to hear me and Megan's rendition of Wuthering Heights.
Somebody get a doctor!
Very pretty, but very dull.
Martin Clune's teeth, 10 out of 10.
Sorry, disgusting. The skin bedroom wall.
Emerald Fennel needs to fire her marketing team. She would have preferred to watch that slug slide down the window for an hour.
Here's some popcorn ASMR.
Just don't listen to this if you haven't seen it yet, or if you have any intention of seeing it, because spoilers. So have to say, not what I expected. Very pretty, but very dull.
I don't want to sound like a real dirty beast, but it was, in a way, less enthralling than Saltburn because it didn't have as many shocking moments in it. Not that things should be written for a shock factor, but if you're going to advertise it in that way, you got to kind of live up to the hype. I don't know why they couldn't have just tried to deviate the marketing away from what Saltburn was and kind of just be like, no, it's not going to be as risque. The problem is that film is a good example of style over substance. Fundamentally, the writing wasn't there. Ultimately, that's regardless of how pretty the film looks, it's not going to make up for the lack of half-decent storytelling to, form the basis of a good film. So, disappointing, quite dull. Martin Clune's teeth, 10 out of 10. His fake teeth were really the most exciting thing in that whole film. The costumes were cool but weird. Leah liked them.
What I'd like is a 15-minute fashion show just of all the characters strutting down the catwalk to demonstrate the fantastic wardrobe department. And I would have enjoyed that more than the actual film. 10 out of 10, top-notch costume.
If it was just them showing off the costumes with the fog and the different lights and stuff, that would have been more. Yes, like a photo shoot. That would have slayed. Yes.
The scene of her all dressed up for the wedding and with the veil and stuff running through the mirrors was really giving Midsummer. I think I enjoyed that more.
The Yorkshire accents were non-existent. Jacob's was okay. It wasn't horrific, but
I suppose they're trying to make a class distinction, though.
The class distinction I kind of got.
Yeah.
But his accent, it wasn't awful, but towards the very end, spoilers, whenever Kathy dies, it was hilarious because he was just like, somebody please get a fucking doctor. Get a doctor, man. I just thought it was really entertaining, simply for the fact that I think it was never supposed to be accurate, but there's having creative license and being really inaccurate, and then there's just being kind of pantomime and just a wee bit on the verge of daft. I also didn't believe they were in love. There was no real chemistry there in a romantic sense, and I don't think something should be written around the anticipation of going, we're gonna squeeze in a really raunchy sex scene. That's not why things should be written. That's not why stories should be adapted to screen. And I kind of feel like that was her only intention, was to do basically soft porn Jacob Elordi, which I find slightly uncomfortable.
They didn't really care about each other until they got a new neighbour, and then they got all jealous and weird, and I was like, I don't know what this storyline is. And I do think the two kids were more interesting if they made it the kids were maybe teenagers rather than being adults. You might have taken the whole oh, I love him, he loves me, but we're both messing with each other. It might have been more interesting if they were teens. Because adults, you should be cop on, you're married now, you're about to have a child. Stop being an idiot.
The bit where they were back in his old childhood bed in the barn, and she was like, why don't you sleep in my bedroom? And he was like, because I want to do it here so I can imagine us as children. Sorry, disgusting, disturbing. Why would you say that? Go away.
Ellen's face was just screwed up into a little ball at the thought of that scene. Margot Robbie infantilizing herself, also very weird. She's like a mother, very happily married, and she's in her she's like in her mid-30s. I get that she's meant to be sort of acting younger, but I just think cast a younger actress. I just come across as weird on screen.
The skin bedroom wall. That was weird. I didn't enjoy that.
I especially didn't enjoy towards the end, where they also put the leeches on the skin bedroom wall as well as her. Like, the infection was not in the skin bedroom wall with her weird face freckle. Like, why did they need to do that?
Because it's so hot, it's so raunchy, it's so sexy. Oh my god, it's Valentine's Day. My guts were turned. During the sex scenes, I was like, no. There was one particular, the last sex scene, very, very rough.
On the table.
He was saying some really egregious, horrific things about her. He's like, yeah, you bitch, and like he kept licking her face and licking her tears, and I was just like, I was overstimulating.
The outfits were cool. There was some cool shots of the sky and the fog.
I liked the silly little dog.
Yes.
No further thoughts.
Good evening. So I've listened back to some of my preliminary thoughts about the film, my pre-watch thoughts and opinions. So, firstly, I had said before that I thought he was a priest or something because of the way he was dressed. So, I'd like to just go ahead and say that could not have been more wrong. Wow. The outfit that I had seen pictures of is like the fancy floaty shirt outfit after he comes back when he's like made some money. So like it does have kind of a priesty vibe to it. So I kind of understand why I thought that, but not correct. I'd like to read my Letterboxd review for you. I think that'll be the best summary of my thoughts. I gave it 1.5 stars. It's not the lowest that I've ever gave a film. Both Elvis and Primate got lower scores than it, but it's certainly not the best. So, it reads, Emerald Fennel needs to fire her marketing team. I was promised shock, drama, and chemistry. What I got was 2 hours of dull, with 10 minutes of top-notch child actors at the start, 5 minutes of nudity-free soft porn in the middle, and a costume department that belongs on the runway. On the way out, a random lady said she would have preferred to watch that slug slide down the window for an hour. I agree. So, I do agree. I think the slug would have been more entertaining. And yeah, I would say all in all, just not for me. I did like the clothes. I did like the general look of the film. Didn't enjoy the weird sexiness. But it was a really impressive match of the child actors. Like the girl who plays the young version of Margot Robbie, excellent. If you had told me that was her as a child, I would probably believe it. And yeah, I think that's all I have.
So I have, since watching Wuthering Heights, I have also read on SparkNotes a summary of the plot for Wuthering Heights. Oh, I mean, the film bears no resemblance to the book, let's put it like that. The film only covers the first half of the book, and removes multiple characters and sort of waters things down quite considerably. So she's really just extracted one element of the book, romanticized this in her head as a teenager, and then written a film about it, kind of turning Kathy and Heathcliff into Romeo and Juliet. That's what someone else put it online. I can't remember the full story. Obviously, reading the SparkNotes thing kind of jogged my memory a wee bit. I don't know if there's anything inherently wrong with stripping the book of details, because most movie adaptations have to do that anyway. I'm trying to cram maybe a 12-hour audiobook into the space of 2 hours for a film. But I think it's the means at which she's done it. I think that's why people are not resonating with it, because it became a kind of over sexualized reimagining of their relationship when it was always incredibly toxic. And they kind of skim over the fact that they were raised as brother and sister and then grew to love each other romantically. Strange. I enjoyed Saltburn a lot more, and I enjoyed Promising Young Woman a lot more, which are her first 2 films. However, what I would say to her credit is that she's very, very good at putting together music for films. Like, she's good at creating a good soundtrack. She did that very successfully both in Saltburn and Promising Young Woman, and I think she's kind of again succeeded in that with Wuthering Heights. Someone said online that she's a very good like cinematographer, good at picking music. She'd almost be better suited to filming music videos, and I kind of see that. I just think the writing was just not it was missing something. It didn't feel solid enough, and I didn't believe the chemistry and the relationship on screen. I'm not saying don't watch, because some people have really, really enjoyed it, but it's not. I don't think it's as good as Saltburn. And the opening scene to me just totally baffles me. Like, I misremembered what they'd said online about the film. It's not the nun isn't being beheaded. The nun has an orgasm watching a man being hung, and as he's obviously dying, the blood rushes down south and he gets an erection, and she sees this and she like orgasms over this basically in the crowd. What that's got to do with the plot, I don't know, because this nun is never seen again. You don't see her. They don't go back to the town where the hanging took place. They only briefly mention the idea of hanging once more in the film, about half an hour in. So this town and where the hanging takes place, this little square with all the other additional characters and extras, they're not seen again after that, which I find terribly confusing. But other than that, yeah, really solid watch. A good review I saw online that keeps making me chuckle. It was on Letterboxd. Someone said that Emily Bronte died 177 years ago of tuberculosis. And yet, this film, Wuthering Heights by Emerald Fennel, is still the worst thing to have ever happened to Emily Bronte. I'll leave you with that. Don't know if I agree completely, because I don't know entirely what went on in Emily Bronte's life, but so I couldn't comment for sure. But I just thought that was very, very funny.
Hello, this is Ellen here, and I'm going to keep my review very short. The coochie juice finger mouth scene was gross. The skin wall was gross. Martin Clune's teeth was gross. The egg yolk fingering scene was gross. The close-up of the snail was gross. The outfits were not gross. That is my review of Wuthering Heights.
There were a few accent slips in the film. Jacob Elordi saying, "Somebody get a doctor," which I thought was hilarious because his Yorkshire accent just totally went out the window. And the whole time I was watching it, I kept thinking about Kate Bush. And then I thought, what if Kate Bush sang the song Wuthering Heights with an Australian accent? And now I can't unhear that in my head. And I feel like I need to share this with the world. So here is my impression of Kate Bush singing Wuthering Heights if she couldn't hit the high notes and she had an Australian accent. Heathcliff, it's me, Kathy, I've come home. I'm so cold. Let me in through your window. Heathcliff, it's me, it's Kathy, I've come home. I'm so old. Let me in through your window. You're welcome. Happy Valentine's Day.